There is a Christianity that most have never heard of. A hidden thread of spiritual wisdom buried beneath centuries of dogma and denial. A version of the faith whispered by mystics, guarded by Gnostics, and preserved through secret societies and ancient texts. This is the story of esoteric Christianity, the spiritual current that dares to reveal what the Orthodox sought to suppress. The rise of the hidden teaching. In the 19th century, as the world stood on the threshold of modernity, a curious resurgence stirred beneath the surface. While science and rationalism reigned supreme, a countercurrent began to flow, a renaissance of occultism, mysticism, and spiritual rebellion. Disillusioned by the rigid orthodoxy of mainstream religion, seekers turned to forgotten paths. They sought what they called esoteric Christianity, not a new religion, but a secret doctrine said to have been known only to the initiated in the early church. They believed that behind the stories, miracles, and moral teachings of Christianity lay a deeper, hidden truth. Part 2. Anna Kingsford and the Gnostic Revelation. Enter Anna Kingsford, physician, mystic, and one of the most eccentric figures of her time. A passionate anti-vivisectionist, she dabbled in magic, not merely to protest, but as she claimed, to psychically assassinate her enemies. Under the influence of chloroform-induced visions, Kingsford claimed to receive transmissions from the spirit world, messages that spoke not of Christian orthodoxy, but of spiritual alchemy, reincarnation, and divine wisdom. Alongside her confidant Edward Maitland, she became convinced that true Christianity had absorbed the secret teachings of the Gnostics, Hermetics, Neoplatonists, and even Sufis. Kingsford's revelations gave birth to the Hermetic Society, which forged links with Theosophy, the Golden Dawn, and the growing Western esoteric tradition. Part 3. The Gospel according to the Gnostic. But Kingsford wasn't alone in her quest. Others turned to long-lost Gospels and mystical writings, once branded heresy, to reconstruct the forgotten Christianity. The Gnostics believed the material world was a prison created by a lesser God, and that Jesus came not to found a church, but to awaken divine knowledge within. He was not a sacrificial lamb, but a revealer of truth. These heretical texts, like the Gospel of Thomas and Gospel of Philip, held radical ideas. That Jesus and Mary Magdalene shared a deep, possibly romantic bond. That salvation lay not in faith, but in secret knowledge. That the divine included both masculine and feminine aspects. In 1945, the discovery of the Naghammadi codices in Egypt changed everything. Hidden for centuries in a clay jar, these 13 books contained over 50 mystical writings, gospels, treatises on magic, and visionary poetry, like Thunder, Perfect Mind, a stunning declaration of the divine feminine. Part 4. The Dead Sea Scrolls and the Essenes. Two years later, in 1947, The discovery of the Dead Sea Scrolls at Qumran deepened the mystery. These texts, older than the New Testament, were linked to a mystical Jewish sect called the Essenes. They lived in desert isolation, awaiting the apocalypse, practicing purification, celibacy, and sacred rites. Some believed that Jesus had lived among them, or that his cousin John the Baptist had. Others saw their teacher of righteousness as a prototype for Christ himself. The slow publication of the scrolls by largely Catholic scholars fueled suspicion. Was there something being hidden? A different Jesus, not divined by dogma, but a mystic initiate among mystics? Part 5. Mary Magdalene and the Sacred Feminine. In the 20th century, these themes erupted into popular culture. Modern scholars, mystics, and rebels alike began to reframe Mary Magdalene, not as a prostitute, but as a priestess, apostle, and perhaps even Christ's beloved. Books like Holy Blood, Holy Grail, 1982, proposed a scandalous secret: that Jesus survived the crucifixion, married Mary Magdalene, and fathered a bloodline, possibly the ancestors of the Merovingian kings of France. Suddenly, the Holy Grail wasn't a cup, but a womb. A vessel of life, an inherited bloodline. This idea permeated pop culture, from Martin Scorsese's The Last Temptation of Christ to José Saramago's controversial novel, The Gospel According to Jesus Christ. Esoteric Christianity was no longer just a fringe curiosity, it had become a cultural phenomenon. Part 6. The enduring appeal of the esoteric. What is it about esoteric Christianity that continues to captivate? Perhaps it's the promise that we are not sinners by nature, but fragments of the divine, capable of awakening. That Christ is not just a figure of history, but an inner guide, a symbol of transformation. That the feminine has a sacred place alongside the masculine in both humanity and divinity. That the path to salvation is not blind obedience, but deep personal revelation. In an age when institutions are questioned and dogmas dissolve, esoteric Christianity offers something else. A mystery to be lived. A truth to be remembered. A flame passed from soul to soul, from the caves of Qumran to the pages of the Naghammadi, and perhaps to you. The kingdom of heaven is within you, said Christ. The greatest secrets of Christianity are waiting, not to be believed, but to be understood. If you enjoyed this exploration, subscribe for more hidden histories and mystical truths.